Welcome
to the Age of Awakening.
Please identify yourself. Enter.
Hey, Triple P Nation, welcome back to the podcast where this week we're going to explore the tools, tactics, and strategies to help you achieve personal and business mastery. And this week we're going to touch on a key nutrient that each and every one of us needs to know our levels, needs to be taking if necessary, because it can have a radical shift on your overall mental and physical well-being. And it's not just a supplement or a nutrient, it's also a hormone. So we're going to get to that here in just a few minutes. But before we do, it wouldn't be a normal episode if we didn't start with this week's success snack. And this one is entitled, Is Making Money Greedy or Making More Money Greedy? Either way. So I'm going to let you in a little secret. Making money is important to me. I get it. I know. Could sound greedy, but I have a feeling you guys feel the same way. But you might feel guilty about pursuing money from time to time. You see, most people are conditioned to think that money is the root of all evil and that wanting more of it only makes you greedy. We're told this by the media. Or you might have heard, if you have too much money, you're just some evil, unethical human being screwing other people over. But here's the deal. They're absolutely wrong. Because to me, money is about one thing. Actually two. Freedom and opportunity. It's the freedom, it's the vehicle of which that I can choose to do what I want, when I want, with whomever I want, whenever I want. So it's not necessarily the desire of materialistic things, though I do like nice things. That doesn't drive me. And then it's the opportunity that money affords me, whether it's to give to my favorite charities, create a legacy for my family, go on trips and do cool things with my family, with my wife, whatever it might be. So one of the keys why people fail in their pursuit of attracting more money into their life is because they're pursuing it. So something that we pursue that we want so much, we are literally pushing it away. So what we need to focus on is not just our ability to attract more money, but why do you want to attract more money? You see, that creates an energy shift, a vibrational tone that will align with your highest desire. If your why is to provide a great life for your family or send your kids to school or start a business, you see, that's in line with your highest purpose. And so you're going to emit the frequency, the energy, the emotion necessary to align with that and making your ability to attract money to go up exponentially. So some of you guys may know or not know, I run a mastermind called the Money Mindset Mastermind, where I work with people in developing an attractive, abundant mindset, but not just from a mindset standpoint, but a tactical standpoint as well, too. And a lot of these folks came into this mastermind because they took our 3-day Money Mindset Challenge, which is absolutely free for you. It's a way to help you identify what's your money story, and is your money story holding you back from creating the kind of wealth that you desire? Because the reality is we all have a money story, and unfortunately, most of them are rooted in scarcity or lack, which is preventing us from creating the kind of wealth that we want. So it helps you identify what your money story is. Secondly, it helps you and gives you the tools necessary to rewrite a new money story. And as we create new beliefs, we create new energies. As new energies occur, then we put into place the tools and tactics that I give you so you can go out and start to really create the kind of wealth so you can become greedy about money as I do. It's not really true, but you get it. So what I'm going to do in the show notes is provide you a link where you can download the 3-day Money Mindset Challenge. You'll get a welcome invite email immediately, and then you will receive your first video. And they're not very long because I want to make sure that you have all the tools to create the kind of prosperity that you desire, because the Triple P life is about empowering dreams, igniting passion, and accelerating your prosperity. So don't miss it. In the show notes, the 3-day Money Mindset Challenge. Do it. All right, guys, I want to talk to you about my favorite supplement, which is vitamin D. You know, I'm a big fan of it, talk about it often. Vitamin D is absolutely essential for optimal mental and physical well-being. It's underutilized. A large segment of our population is woefully deficient. And at some point, that deficiency is going to lead to a health challenge and crisis. So I want to give you the kind of the skinny on it. Where is it at? What some of the research is telling us. I want to kind of help you understand that vitamin D has a dual role. I want you to understand that what are the best sources of vitamin D, the benefits of testing, why we need to test, and then also defining what some of the optimal levels are, and can you get too much? So we're going to get into that here for you today, so you can take this information and utilize this to help maximize your well-being, because we talk about this all the time, right? Helping you guys mentally and professionally, in business, in life, to live your best life. And the only way we can do that is we got to have the best content and the best information. And I think we have that here today, as we do each and every week. So if you're ready to roll, we'll get going. So one of the things you first need to know is that 1 in 5 Americans regularly reach and supplement with vitamin D supplements. Yet most of them are unaware that they're not taking just a vitamin, but they're also taking a hormone. While we know that bolstering vitamin D for bone health and bone strength is important, also immune system function, vitamin D's story is just not that straightforward. You see, it's a blend of myth and established science that invites a closer look, that we need to really understand the true nature and its impact. You see, vitamin D stands apart in the world. All nutrients, to me, it's right at the top, right? It's a sun source substance acting as both a nutrient and a hormone. Now, this dual role is significant as a hormone, which orchestrates many bodily functions and aren't typically taken as supplements like vitamins. Now, endocrinologist Michael Holick, who's a leading vitamin D expert, says that the body's more effectively utilizing vitamin D when it's naturally synthesized from sunlight compared to taking a supplement. And this difference is key to understanding vitamin D's health role and the complexities of supplementing a hormone. So vitamin D is really important for bone health and immune system health, right? It's multifaceted. At its core, vitamin D is vitamin for calcium absorption in the gut and essential for bone strength and health. Without enough vitamin D, the body can only absorb about 10 to 15% of your calcium intake each day. More important, vitamin D is a pivotal tool for immune system health. Dr. Holick observed that vitamin D receptors are in almost every cell, including your immune system. So therefore, proper levels are vital for balanced immune system response and preventing autoimmune disorders and diseases. Now, another great resource is Dr. Nathan Goodyear, who's an integrative cancer physician and director of Brio Medical, which is an integrative cancer treatment center in Scottsdale, Arizona. He stresses vitamin D essential role in immune functionality and its influence on chronic diseases like cancer. He states that the immune system does not work well if vitamin D is not optimal. Key word there, guys, is optimal, not normal, optimal. And he emphasizes its role in cancer, where immune system strength is crucial. So some studies have included even melanoma, which indicates that vitamin D supplementation can enhance treatment responses and prolong survival in cancer patients, even those with currently insufficient dosages or amounts. Vitamin D plays a role in heart health. We know that low vitamin D levels lead to an elevated risk of heart disease. And those that are deficient in vitamin D are more likely to experience hypertension, heart failure, and even strokes. Another key role is mental health. There's a clear link between low levels of D and higher incidences of depression and mood disorders. It also affects seasonal affective disorder, which is a depression variant tied to seasonal changes. I dealt with that when I first moved up here to the Midwest. I didn't have my vitamin D levels, but I suffered from that seasonal affective disorder for years. Finally had my vitamin D levels checked when I started to understand the science, optimize it. I haven't dealt with it for decades. So vitamin D, vital, no question. It exists in multiple forms, though, and taking a unique path within our body. So grasping these forms is the key to understanding how vitamin D functions in our system. You see, once vitamin D enters our body through the sun, diet, and or a supplement, it transforms to become active. First, it changes in calcidol, and that happens in the liver, and then into calcitrol, which is the active form in your kidneys. And calcitrol is the form that our body can use to perform various functions. Interestingly, each form of vitamin D undergoes the similar conversion in the process of our bodies. The source of vitamin D might differ, but the pathway is exactly the same. The conversion efficiency of vitamin D can differ, though. The skin's capacity to produce vitamin D diminishes with age and is influenced by skin pigmentation, also our geographical location and lifestyle. So if you're in the northern hemisphere, right, less exposure, less ability to take it in through the sun. If you are dark skin pigmented, or if you're an African American, doesn't absorb well through the skin. If your lifestyle consumes a lot of alcohol, that affects vitamin D absorption. So there's a lot of variations that affect it. There are some controversies, though, about testing vitamin D. See, the routine way to measure vitamin D is through a blood test called 25-hydroxyvitamin D. This measure reflects vitamin D levels from sunlight, food, and the supplements. Now, the less recommended, and you should know the difference, is 125-dihydroxyvitamin D. And this test fails to gauge vitamin D reserves, which really makes it a very ineffective way to monitor for people. Here's the thing, vitamin D testing has really surged in the last few years. It's now the 8th most common lab test, states Medicare. So it's becoming a lot more popular, and we're beginning to understand the importance. In fact, more than 10 million vitamin D blood tests are done annually in the United States, even though these tests are not recommended by a lot of major medical organizations. So you got to ask yourself, why is that? And the answer is really quite simple. Your medical practitioner gets 0 hours of nutritional training in med school, not a single hour. So how could they possibly be up to speed or aware of the value and the benefit of nutritional supplements like vitamin D? And they're certainly not going to test for it. And the primary reason is the insurance won't pay for it. So even if you go in and you request it, we see this all the time with our clinic and our patients. If they want to go use their insurance, they'll ask to go in and get these tests done, and the MDs won't do it. They won't do a hormone panel. And unless you have symptomatology, they won't do thyroid panel. So there's a lot of issues yet still occurring within the medical society and a lot of these supplementations. So one of the things we need to know that many functional medicine practitioners and naturopathic doctors recommend regular vitamin D testing. The College of Naturopathic Medicine advises those in sun-poor climates to test routinely for better health maintenance. So here we are, we're at the end of the summer. Hopefully you've spent a lot of time outdoors. You've been to the beach, you've been to the lake, you're playing golf, walk-in, barbecues, whatever it might be. You've got a lot of time outside. So typically testing at the end of the summer, you're going to find your highest levels of vitamin D throughout the year. And then conversely, again, if you live in the northern hemisphere in a cold weather climate, in February, you're going to find it to be the lowest after being indoors for many months, not getting any sun exposure. Those are the two really good times to test and see the variations in your vitamin D levels. And then they can be readjusted if necessary from a supplementation to get it back to the optimization or the optimal level, which we'll discuss here shortly. So Dr. Goodyear, who I referenced before, emphasizes the test relevance, particularly regarding its impact on inflammation and chronic diseases like cancer. He stated that vitamin D will always be low in the place of significant inflammation, both acute and chronic. So guys, if you're experiencing chronic inflammation, regular inflammation, it's very likely your vitamin D levels are low. So you got to monitor it. So we know what the proper supplementation protocol would be for you. Goodyear also draws an analogy to the salmon swimming upstream against a current of inflammation, illustrating the challenges in increasing plasma vitamin D levels in such conditions. And he likens this process to standard medical practices like monitoring your blood pressure and emphasizing the need for similar approach in more natural therapies. So he states the process is simple. It's evaluate, dose, reevaluate, then redose. So let's talk about optimal vitamin D levels. Well, some experts view vitamin D levels under 30 nanograms per deciliter as deficient. I would agree. Unfortunately, we see lots of people coming through our doors who are less than 20, and this is a crisis standard. In fact, I've seen studies that show is Vitamin D levels under 20 nanograms per milliliter, if left unchecked and properly dosed accordingly, is 100% indicator of chronic disease, some sort of chronic inflammatory disease in your life. It's that important. Now, levels from 30 to 50 is considered inefficient, right? Some may call it in the medical community, we call that normal, but it's not sufficient. So what does that mean? Well, it means from levels to 60 to 80 is considered optimal. This is where you're truly getting the value and benefit of this hormone, of this nutrient to optimize your mental and physical well-being. So can you get too much vitamin D? I guess that's the question we want to ask here. So there is a concern about overconsumption, particularly with some supplements, particularly the fat-soluble supplements. You see, water-soluble supplements like vitamin C is easily excreted through your urine if you take it in excess. Fat-soluble supplements, not so much, because they tend to accumulate in the liver and in the fat tissue. And this condition is called vitamin D intoxication. Now, it's a really rare thing that can occur, but it can happen. Now, those levels are 125 nanograms per milliliter or higher. So it's very, very rare, but it does happen. That's why regular testing, if you are supplementing, is absolutely critical. Now, in our modern culture and world, we spend an inordinate amount of time indoors, and our diets are inefficiently low in vitamin D. And this is contributing to widespread deficiencies, despite the attempt to eat a well-balanced diet. Here's the facts. 1 in 4 Americans and 70% of children fall short of necessary vitamin D levels. Now, given these challenges, supplementation is really critical. Now, current recommendations call for 400 IUs for kids, 600 for adults from ages from 1 to 70, and 800 IUs from 70 and above. But guys, these RDAs are ancient, and they are not reflective of what the new research is saying. Those RDAs were established back in the 50s. And as I've discussed before, we know sunshine is a prime vitamin D source, and it can fulfill your needs with minimal exposure. Your vitamin D storage generally lasts up to 10 to 12 weeks. That's pretty cool. That's why I say you test at the end of the summer, August, September, 12 weeks is 3 months. Right now we start to see a precipitous decline if you're not eating a well-balanced diet, if you're still not getting sun exposure, if you're not supplementing. So we know that vitamin D deficiency is a debate and it's complex. And we know that widespread notion that much of America is walking around totally deficient in vitamin D. And it's come from a likely misinterpretation of what normal levels from vitamin D are, which were set by the Institute of Medicine decades ago. Okay, so Triple P Nation, let's talk about the best source of vitamin D. Well, we know sun exposure is right at the top of the pyramid. It's key. Its production of UVB, ultraviolet rays, they convert skin cholesterol into vitamin D3. And then it's later transformed in calcitrol in its usable form. And interestingly, skin-produced vitamin D remains in the bloodstream for twice as long as when ingested by food or vitamins. And sunlight's vitamin D productivity varies by time and season and location. The best synthesis is between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. in the warmer months. However, above 37 degrees latitude, there's a negligible vitamin D production from November to March. And a study that was concluded in 2022 found that sun exposure can significantly make up for deficiencies in subjects who consume insufficient dietary vitamin D. Now you know why I travel every single month in the winter somewhere warm. I need to go for my vitamin D. It's a therapeutic trip. Now, compared with the extra cost and time of building really good habits of vitamin D supplementation, really moderate sun exposure appears to be really the simple, costless means for you to get started in your daily practice. Start now. So let's talk about some key considerations of how you can optimize your vitamin D supplementation. So contrary to some of the popular belief that many recommendations, going back to Dr. Michael Hollick, he argues that vitamin D absorption doesn't depend on dietary fat. Because I was always told when you take vitamin D, you should have it with some fatty food. like either a piece of meat, some nuts, some almond butter, things like that. He cites studies showing better absorption from skim milk, low in fat, than from full fat milk. Hence, he says vitamin D can be taken with or without dairy fat. I still think taking it with food is the most advantageous way to optimize absorption. So there's some conjunction with other nutrients, vitamin D. Let's talk about those. I mentioned a little bit earlier. One is being vitamin K. And studies suggest taking vitamin D and K together is going to enhance bone health and reduce arterial calcification risks. So if you're taking a vitamin D3 supplement without vitamin K, you are increasing your risk of atherosclerosis. Now, magnesium aids vitamin D metabolism, and high vitamin D doses can deplete magnesium levels. So you need adequate magnesium for vital effective vitamin D use, and that's between 400 and 600 milligrams for most people. But make sure you check with your healthcare provider. Remember, these are general recommendations. These recommendations are not specific for you. You should always consult your provider when making any decisions of taking supplementations or medications. We are just a resource. We're not giving you medical advice. We're just giving you some suggestions that you can take and discuss with your healthcare professionals. Also, vitamin D, right? Vitamin A and vitamin D are both fat soluble, and they work together. However, the consensus of taking them together has not been clearly established, so it's not critical to take it with vitamin A. Timing can be. Some suggest aligning vitamin D intake with our circadian rhythms, proposing daytime consumption to avoid sleep disturbances. And I can tell you this is absolutely true. There's some days that I didn't get my vitamin D in early and I take it late, maybe even after dinner. And I have noticed some challenges with sleep. So avoid taking vitamin D later in the day or the evening. It can impact your sleep levels. Now, the choice of vitamin D. Now, while vitamin D2, which is ergocalciferol, comes from plants and fortified foods, and D, chocalciferol, from animal products and sunlight exposure, we know that both forms raise and maintain vitamin D levels equally. So both are fine. Just got to make sure you got that K2 in there. And as I mentioned, consult with your healthcare provider before starting any supplement regimen. Consulting with a healthcare provider is essential to determine proper dosing, assess proper and potential interactions with other medications and or future healthcare conditions. So while supplementation may be useful, integrating them with natural vitamin D sources and a balanced lifestyle is always the crucial component to overall well-being. So I hope you found a lot of great information about vitamin D. Another thing I want to talk about vitamin D is here, as we are entering into the fall and cold and flu season, we know vitamin D, as I referenced multiple times, is such a key component in immune system function as it has an antiviral property. Optimizing your vitamin D levels in the winter without question reduces your risk to getting sick. And when getting sick, it reduces the severity and the intensity. It can reduce the severity and the intensity if you get exposed. So do everything you can to enhance your immune system function. Why not? You can't afford to be sick. I can't afford to be sick. I've got too much going on. You have too much going on. So some simple measures, some simple strategies could afford you good long health, good quality of life for a really long time. All you need to do is put the right strategies in place, take action, monitor, and assess. So guys, as we wrap up here today, I want to let you know the next few weeks, we're going to be running the best of episodes. We've had some incredible interviews throughout the years with some really transformative people that have just, done great things in the world. CEOs of corporations like Frank O'Connell with Reebok, who wrote a book on leadership and business. We're going to have him on. Dr. John DeMartini. Dr. DeMartini is really right up there with Tony Robbins in helping people realize and create the best life and self-help and personal growth, along with Bob Doyle, who is one of the authors of The Secret He's going to talk about manifestation and attraction and the law of attraction and creating and generating wealth into your life. We've got Diana Eskander, the love coach. She was absolutely incredible. One of the shows that we had the highest feedback on. She is just so in tune and has this energy and aura about her. So if you want to up level your relationship, make sure you check her out. And then Emily Williams, female business coach, has a great story, and she is just absolutely, changing the world in so many ways. So we've got some incredible interviews. Plus, upon return, we've got some great interviews and new guests, which we're recording right now. So we've got a lot of incredible content coming for you. People who are going to empower your mindset, people who are going to inspire you, people who are going to motivate you to want to be better, to take more action, and more importantly, to live your best life, which is your triple P life, which is all about empowering your dreams, igniting your passion, and accelerating your prosperity. So till we meet again, guys, be well.